What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about the holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, joined by, as always,
And I'm KP.
oh boy. So what are we? Oh yeah, we discussed this last week. We're a little over halfway through Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 9, The Harbinger. Had a nice big return in this episode. But before we get to that,
Ooh,
juicy bits there.
ooh.
KP, what's your initial thoughts on Episode 9?
Uh, well, my first immediate initial thought, everyone, is that from watching last review on episode 8, I was wrong on who this character was going to be that shows up. But nonetheless, still a pleasant surprise and um, a very nostalgic feel as well. Very much enjoyed watching this one, even though. I'll say a little downside thing of it is once again, it's kind of a filler, but this was a nostalgic filler, so it gets a little bit of a pass, but nonetheless, very much enjoyed it. What do you think of this episode, Jason?
Yeah, obviously me. I haven't watched all the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that jazz. I had no idea who this. I've heard of this character,
So
but
the
I've never
nostalgia's
actually.
not there. That's
Nostalgia was
good.
not
That's
there for me.
good. We
No, no,
have
no.
we have both sides of this. We have both sides here, so we can say as a whole we're not that biased.
Overall, I agree. It does feel a little fillerish, but at the same time, it does kind of answers a question while not answering the question directly, but also hinting at, hey, this is the thing.
Mhm.
The character that did return was cool.
Yes.
Interested to see more of her, and I think even one of the creators of some, or one of the heads of Disney even came out and said
Yeah.
that she'll be coming back fairly soon in something else. So there you go there.
Right. Which
And
then
then
kind of, yeah, like that in of itself, seeing that being tweeted online, going around of like, well, wait a minute, there's more stuff still. Like you're gonna come out with even more stuff, and so yeah, so we also have that knowledge as well now. So, but anyways, continue. Sorry.
despite it being a little bit of fillerish, I think this is actually one of the more, despite me not having that nostalgia feeling, I felt like this was one of the more entertaining filler episodes. And like I said, they still kind of build and kind of somewhat not really answer a question that we've been waiting just for them to finally answer. Which they did answer one, but then brought up another, which we already knew was going to be. But they've teased all season long. So um, overall, I wish the filler episodes were more like this than how they have been. So that was pretty solid overall of an episode. I actually was engaged the whole episode.
Okay,
That said something. But
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. I was sitting there as we, watching through it the whole thing. I'm like, well, this is a filler episode. But then I realized, like, but I've been enjoying myself. And
mhm.
like you said, I was actually engaged the whole time, kind of wondering how's this all going to play out. So it's still pretty good in my opinion.
So with that, let's just get down to the nitty gritty deets. KP, who is this massive returning character?
Okay, so I guess that was our cue for this is spoiler time. But yeah, so Asajj Ventress is back, and she
Boom.
has hair. She
Oh,
has hair, everybody. She has hair.
did she not before?
Um, and no, she is completely bald in Clone Wars. Throughout the entire thing. So, I know the big deal online, and I personally have never been this far into the lore, but she apparently is supposed to be dead. Well, she's obviously not. And then they even make a little jab at that, where she says something about surviving something before, or something of the nature of like escaping death, if you will. So it is what it is at this point, everyone. She's here to basically stay, because as we just said, one of the powers that be in Star Wars has said that this is literally not the last time we're going to see her. So she's back. Excuse me. But that being said, though, our big reveal of it being Asajj was very. Nice. It was a little okay, it wasn't lazy. So I was gonna say it was a little lazy with how like she's just, oh, I'm here, but then it's like, well, Finnick says, hey, these people, we presume somehow an image maybe is sent to Asajj. I don't. Uh, insert I found you because I can wield the force, but I'm not telling you that, and I'm also not going to explain any of it at all. But that's what we have to essentially, it's not spoon fed to us, but that's what we have to essentially assume here. Is that she found him using the force because we get to see Asajj and how strong she still is with the force, in this show. And that was one of the nostalgia parts about it that I loved. And I also thought, as we get into this episode, um, it was very interesting that she wasn't necessarily dodgy entirely about the whole what M count is, but then she does kind of eventually say like, okay, look, it's these things called midichlorians. They exist in everybody, and I did like how they kind of, they did the whole like Qui-Gon thing from Phantom Menace. She's like, hey, they exist in everybody, and it's just random chance and that some people have more of it than others. And she's like, even stating the point of, well, you're clones, you're not supposed to have them, but then again, you're also all like a special circumstance, if you will.
Right.
So I guess it does make sense that Omega does have a high M count. And we've been kind of since we've known about this whole Omega having a high M count for a while, we've been kind of getting the spoon fed of like, will she, won't she be a Jedi or something of relation. I personally hope by the end of this she actually does go with Asajj, because their background to Asajj is that yes, first Asajj was a Jedi, then her master gets killed by the separate, or now some reason I can't remember that Clone Wars episode. Her master gets killed. Well, then Dooku takes her in and trains her as a Sith assassin, and then she's a powerful Sith assassin. Then she gets betrayed by Dooku. So then her and the Night Sisters try to get back at Dooku. It fails. Then all her Night Sisters are dead. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna like live as a bounty hunter. So she lives as a bounty. Yeah, she pieces out and she lives as a bounty hunter. And then we kind of like just never see her again in Clone Wars. And again, then you have to kind of dive deeper into other canon stuff. Said canic because I'm talking too fast. To find out that she eventually gets with Quinlan and they die, but long story short, this is where she is now, and the yellow lightsaber was a cool touch because it makes sense. Because if anything, she is more of that gray area, and I felt like they did a very good job of portraying that as her, as like she's like, I can choose to be this pacifist that's like, I will reason with you and I will
Right.
discuss with you and I will be diplomatic. Or if you really want to test me, I will kick your ass. I will kill you. I'm not afraid to do that either. And I thought that that was like a very good way to have her. And I like that we do have a true character like that.
Same. I know
And
there's a lot of
again,
people in the fan base that don't like that gray area Jedi or Sith
and
type
that's
thing, and it's
stupid to
like,
me
and
because it's
it's
like,
kind of
why would
dumb to
it?
me too in a way. It's like
It
there would at least be some there. Like why?
Right. If this shit actually was real and really existed, that's exactly how human society even is. It's like, not everything is black and white as much as we want to be. And I get it for those of you out there that don't like it. You probably want your fantasy stories to only be black and white, to only be like, oh, good guy, oh, bad guy. But are you also the same people that are like, Venom's cool? Are you? So if you are, then I'll say, then guess what? Well, Star Wars gets to have it too, and these characters are actually nice to have. Like, yeah, she's not a good guy. She's not a Jedi, but she's no longer a Sith either.
Mhm.
And she, like she says, she's like, I'm basically only look out for myself. With all of that being said, without going into details of this episode, because that would take us a while, and I don't know that we necessarily need to do that. We can if you would like, but my last closing statement I'm going to say about this is that I do hope eventually Omega has to follow her. And we like you said, we kind of got an answer that Omega has no connection, but then again, and I love that exchange too, even where Crosshair just look, he's like, "You're lying," and
Mhm.
she's just like, "Yeah, about which part?" Almost as if like she like we know what part she's lying about,
Mhm.
because then she proceeds to say, "Look, the fact of the matter is that if she was really going to be one of these, she can't stay with you guys because you guys literally cannot train her in this."
Yep.
And they were like, "Well, that's not going to happen." So it's like, yeah. So I don't know. To me, I hate to say it, it's like the the clones have like their lifespan is not going to be long, so
They
their
could
days
bend
are
down.
numbered. I would like kind of to see that they all heroically go in some fashion, and I would like to see where Omega has to go with Ventress, and maybe that's the thing that they're planning, and then we'll have a whole nother series of like Asajj and Omega or whatever,
Mhm.
So that's really all I've got to say about all of it. I understand I ranted for a long time there, so that's my apology, everyone. But now we'll finally let Jsib talk.
Yeah, it was really cool to get introduced to this character. The only thing I had known about Asajj is that she was a former apprentice of Dooku. I didn't even know she had a master before that and that had died. I just knew she had ties to Dooku, and that's all I knew about this character. And I probably
Mm-hmm.
got that from You Were the Bull back in the day. So,
Yeah.
um, it's I kind of got the impression from her that in a way that Omega does for sure have like the potential to. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
apparently nowadays everybody has the potential to use the Force. It's just how much you train with it. So I mean, clearly if she has a high M count, that's why Asajj really wants to take her with it. But yeah, I do like how she's kind of snaky and a little not 100% honest about it. Um, but I don't know. It still feels like it's kind of dragging on a little bit more at this point. But at least we kind of established, we gave the batch the answer of what an M count is. Um, so thank God for that. I do like your thoughts on hopefully Omega does go with her at the end, or at least some Jedi of some sort, because I think that, which now saying there might be more Asajj in the future, it would be kind of neat to see if maybe that is like a future spin-off after this, like the continuation of the saga just keeps going of the Clone Wars animation. I think that'd be an interesting, cool step. It'd also be interesting to see how they toe that line of how this amazing unique clone exists. I mean, the Grogu problem. How did this character exist when, they don't exist in later films? That typical shit. We'll hit that. We'll get to that bridge when we get there. We'll cross it when we get there. We ain't got to worry about it right now. The only thing is you really want the batch to die heroically.
I just don't really see. I don't know. I guess, we're just gonna have to wait and see, but on these next 6 episodes. But I just kind of, it just makes me so curious. Is like, what is this general direction? I don't know that I'd say that that's yes, what I want to happen. So then, like you said, then we get another spin-off show that gets to continue with this Clone Wars style animation, and we kind of keep going. Um, because I mean, but you also hit it too, and I was maybe gonna save that for last. That obviously, as we know with Mandalorian, like Omega Nut doesn't end up being the one that helps Palpatine come back after 60 years. Like, well, we still don't even fully fucking know. But anyways,
Right.
the thing that's interesting about this is that you kind of figure at this point in time Omega is probably the same age, if not a few years older than Luke at this point. So part of me is still kind of wanting that she trains with Asajj. She's like this certain mindset. And then maybe once we get to post Mandalorian show, we're talking like, Ben Solo's going to be around, and Luke's trying to make his own order and all that stuff. Like maybe she's involved in that somehow. I just would like to see that, and to be honest, it's kind of like what I could see happen, just because they like to connect all of the, like, Star Wars very much likes to connect all of their shit somehow. So I guess that would be my reasoning, is see the heroically die, because I really don't think they would just like want to part with Omega willingly.
Yeah, but they could almost do it as like a, maybe it's something that kind of just goes down, and they've already lost Omega once, like maybe gets near death or something, and they just kind of have the self-realization of, yeah, they have to make the tough decision of, for the betterment of Omega, they can't be the ones to protect her anymore, and they need to,
right,
and they've kind of fulfilled their duty in a sense. They've so they followed like their orders. They protected Omega for as long as they needed to get her eventually in the right hands.
Yeah. So yeah, you're saying like I get like an amicable, like Anakin and Ahsoka at the end of season 5 of Clone Wars. Like we kind of have that amicable split. I mean, that would be fine too. That would be like our good ending, but like send off. So yeah.
I will say I'm not opposed to your ending either. I'm just surprised you said it.
Well, I'll say this, is these shows, like, this is supposed to be the last season, that's the whole thing, is like, if we keep these characters going and alive, well then, you always have the people that are like, well, then where the hell were they during the... It's like, well, I mean, obviously, like, it was never gonna make complete sense, but,
right.
Like, that's just kind of why I like to have that, because... you get people that are argumentative over, whoa.
You could always just argue, the galaxy is
Captain Rex in Return of the Jedi. Just like, oh my god, like, come on, like, do we have to stretch this much? But like,
space is vast and wide. Space is vast and wide.
Right, exactly. So I don't know.
But any other things you want to mention before we give the ratings? And
I did like they kind of touched on almost all, like, as much as they could with aspects and elements of the Force here. Like even like Asajj pulling the Ezra shit and literally using the Force to talk with the sea creatures, and then ultimately get their asses saved from the giant tortoise, kraken, kaiju, whatever. She uses the Force on that to kind of communicate with it. So I thought that was actually very, very good. So then Omega realizes it's not just lifting rocks and stuff.
Right. True.
Feel it? I do feel it. I do feel the Force. That's the Force. Oh my god, that's amazing. That's like the one part of Last Jedi I will forgive, because that was freaking hysterical. But anyways, that's really all I have left to say, is that I kind of I forgot about that tidbit in my rant, and I just liked that as well about this, was that, it wasn't just with Asajj, it wasn't just about like, oh, they'll reach out with your feelings and try to do all this shit. It's like, she's like, no, this is how beneficial this thing can be, and that was like really good that she showed, like, this can literally save your life from danger. And that's really all I have left to say about it.
Yeah, my last little note would just be, I like how out of everybody in the batch, it was Crosshair that just kept calling Asajj out like she was untrustworthy, just Crosshair of all the people in the batch. But it also makes sense with the progression of him this season and everything. But I just, you know,
Right.
So what you got for the rating on 9? What you got?
Like I said, I mean, even though it was basically filler, but the nostalgia of it and how like engaged it kept me, I think I'll like rate this one like truly like an 8.5 for me.
Oh shit! High on that.
Yeah, this one, like, I will say, man, the choreography of her, like when she like the Vader pool in the hallway when she just takes all their guns.
Yeah.
And, like with ease, just with ease. She just yeah. She's like, "Well, come on, it's going to be a fair fight." And then she just like I mean, you know,
just beats the
pulls out the fucking the kung fu force. I mean, I'm like, okay, I did not see this coming, and she's just whooping their ass up and down, and I was like, okay, they did this episode right. So I have to say, like, that was a big part also of why I think I enjoyed this so much. So that's my rating. What do you give it?
I think I'm gonna go 7.5. I thought filler, but it was entertaining. I think new character to me, Asajj Ventress. I think she's really cool, and I am looking forward to seeing more of her and seeing where she'll pop up next, because she does seem like a really dynamic character and unique. Finally, in Star Wars, where we got somebody who's can show you a little bit of mercy, but you know, like you alluded to earlier, you know, if you push her too much and you ask for it, she ain't afraid to kill you either. So
yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So
I think she'll show up one more time in this show. I would bet. I won't be surprised if she does, but yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised like either way if she showed up or not. Just with the way Star Wars is. But KP, where can the beautiful people find you?
Well, I believe my editing partner over here does put the link below. But if anything, you can always find me on twitch.tv when I'm streaming at Politus. That's typically Tuesdays and Thursdays, but might start expanding that to more every day in the week. We'll see though.
Yeah, brother.
And the same name on all socials. You'll find me at Politesk. What about you, Jay?
So you guys can all find me on socials and on Twitch at ya boy Jsib. Currently, pretty much the same as him, Tuesdays, Thursdays, but I usually sprinkle in other days. I just can't guarantee which other days those will be, but usually on more than just Tuesdays, Thursdays. Currently spreading Freedom and Helldivers too. So, hope to see you guys over on the Twitch channels. And please let us know down in the comments below what you guys thought of this episode of Bad Batch. And if you'd like to give us a like, maybe subscribe, ring that notification bell. So next time, I'm your boy Jsib.
And I'm KP.
See ya later.